Hi, I'm Cindy Gay. I'm a rug hooking artist and teacher who uses online courses, a podcast, and a free weekly live rug hooking webinar to teach rug hookers all over the world to create rugs that are uniquely their own and not just a copy of someone else's. Now, if this sounds remotely interesting to you, please visit cindygayrughooking.com. I've left some links below. What you are about to see is an excerpt from one of my online courses, the IKEA Stool course. This is a stool that I am going to be putting together in this video. It's from IKEA. Normally you would buy a cover to go over it. Well, instead, we're going to hook our own. And this is the original pattern for the IKEA Stool course. It's called Wonky House. And it depicts my house here where my studio is and some of the trees and flowers that grow around the property. Okay, this is another pattern. Actually, this one was the original one, but that was the first pattern that I offered publicly. This is called Jackson, and it's wonderfully misspelled by my grandson, but that's how he phonetically spelled it. And he drew this dog many, many years ago. He's now a junior in high school and probably a little embarrassed by this, but I think this dog is just adorable. And it has, again, floral around the outside edge. And you can always change the patterns. The course has paper patterns, and you can print them out and interchange, take the center from this rug and the border from another rug and put them all together. And they are not upholstered in the usual sense of the word. Okay, so here's one that's done. I'm just going to kind of snug on the feet a little bit and pull this up. This is what it looks like bare, just like this one. This one has fuzzies on it because it's been around for a while, but it's a simple slip cover. So it's very simple for the average rug hooker to put together. And I recommend that you hook this style of footstool first and learn how to put it together and sort of work out all the problems, and then graduate to either your antique stool or the build-it-yourself footstool that I've had on my website for many, many years. This is available, these patterns plus several others are available in the IKEA Stool course offered on my website at cindygayrughooking.com. So let's get started, and I'll show you how simple this stool is to put together. Okay, I've got an IKEA stool. It's called Nils or Nils, depending on how you pronounce it. The inventory number is 801.401.29, in case that helps. There is a link on the website where you can buy it online without the cover. The link that's easy to find includes the cover. And we're not going to need a cover because we're going to make our own. So I've already cut the tape on it, and I'm simply going to flip this over. And it comes with a couple different parts. It comes with the 4 legs. They're wrapped in some protective stuff. If you wanted a shorter stool, you could take these and put them on a chop saw and simply cut the length. I would be very careful to make sure that you put them into the chop saw the same way each time. They are tapered, so without studying it, I don't know which way you would put it in, but if you know how to use a chop saw, you can figure that out. And then you get this, the body of the stool. It's already covered with all the foam we're going to need, and so it makes it so much simpler. Then you have the little IKEA instructions, which you basically just follow the pictures, and it tells you what you need to do. Even though I put together several of these, Yeah, there's nothing new. Okay, so I'm going to put it together the way it says. And you get a bag of hardware. There are labels in here, that consumer protection stuff that you'll go to jail if you're not the consumer. I usually get rid of those, and then I'll come back with like a screwdriver and wiggle out that staples if you really want to get to it. But this is so simple that this has a big hole that the bolt will actually sink down into. And it's got one where it will not. So you want the bolt to go into the one where it'll sink down. And that goes here. This comes in. We do a washer and a nut. And the washer will tighten down to a certain point with your finger, and then it freezes. So then what you need is something to hold the nut, and I like these. I don't know what they're called, but they work for me. And then they give you this Allen wrench, and that you kind of stick in there. And then while you're holding this, and it is easier to do if you simply let this fall where it wants to go, and then that way you're not trying to hang on to it. That way, the force of you turning this will actually hold it in place. We adjust it a little bit. I've also used a crescent wrench, the kind that look like a C with the little nut that you tighten up with. Those work too, but quite frankly, I couldn't find them. So these were sitting in the drawer, and I knew these would work. I'm going to get this nice and tight. What you need to know is that after a certain amount of time, you are going to need to retighten these. So keep that Allen screw or this Allen wrench somewhere handy so that you can tighten it up when it gets loose. Again, tighten it until it stops. And then I get this down in here and just start tightening. This is probably a little bit easier on a table than on the floor on your hands and knees, but I thought the camera rigging's not as easy. So for the next one, I am going to give you a close-up shot so you'll be able to see this in a close-up. Okay, so let's change this to the close-up shot. I'm going to find the hole that's a little bit bigger, put the bolt into that, line it up here, and put the bolt through this hole, put on a nut, or a washer, put on a nut until it stops. I'll turn this so it's a little bit easier for me to get to. Get everything in the right place. Get the Allen screw in where it belongs. And then just start turning. And again, I'm just lightly squeezing this tool because as I'm turning, it's pushing it down against the footstool, and so that's doing all the work for me. So here's the stool, all complete. The only thing that we'll need to do now is complete our hooked cover and then slide it over and enjoy. I do recommend that you put together the stool before you start hooking so that you've got it nearby, so that as your pattern works, what you might want to do in the evening when you're done hooking, take your pattern off of your frame, lay it on the footstool, enjoy it in the shape it's going to become, and then that way you get a better idea of the finished project. It also is needed for later on when we start testing the sides to make sure that it's long enough, that the sides are wide enough. Even though the pattern's right, you never know when you start hooking how that could change in that process. Maybe you went a little too close to the line and now it's too big. That type of thing. You'll be able to size it before you sew up the side seams. So let's get hooking. So that's how the IKEA stool goes together. It's very simple. Once it comes out of the box, the only tool you need is something to hold that bolt in place. So a crescent wrench or a pair of, I need to figure out the name of those, a pair of those thingies that I had will do it. Anything that holds that bolt while you use the Allen wrench that comes with the stool to tighten the bolt. Keep that Allen wrench handy. You'll need to tighten that over time. It will loosen and you'll want to give it one more tightening and then it tends to stay where it needs to be. If you're interested in making a cover for the IKEA stool, I have several patterns available. They're included in the IKEA stool cover course. And you can find that by going to cindygayrughooking.com and click on online lessons. And it's right there. As I add new patterns, once you're enrolled, you will get the new patterns automatically. So I've got a few more in the works that are coming. So I recommend go out, get your IKEA stool today. I've included a link below so that you can find that special secret link that is just the stool and no cover. And then join the course, put together your cover, and enjoy the beauty of a simple IKEA stool. Now, what's nice about this course is that if you're ready to do something a little bit more fancy, maybe cover grandmother's antique footstool, going through the IKEA course will give you the basics that you need so that you can sprout your wings and go off and do those more complicated footstools. But I do recommend hooking the IKEA stool first, and that'll sort of flex your footstool muscles and get you ready for anything that comes your way. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. I have several patterns. They're included in my IKEA stool course. As I add